Shares of Hims & Hers are down 11% in trading on Wednesday after one of the company's competitors lobbied to get the FDA to not allow companies like Hims & Hers to compound their GLP-1 drug. Sounds a little bit complicated, but basically investors are worried that GLP-1s, which is seen to be a big growth avenue for Hims & Hers, could potentially be in question. Now, this is a back and forth that the stock and the market has been thinking about over the past 3 or 4 months. But I want to put today's news into a little bit of context. I don't think there's anything massive that's going to be happening short term, but long term, this could answer some of the questions about what GLP-1s and Hims & Hers looks like in the future. My name is Travis Hoium. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube for all my content. And thanks to this video sponsor, The Motley Fool. If you go to fool.com/ASYM, they'll give you their top 10 stocks to buy right now. Let's get to today's news. The move today came after Novo Nordisk asked the US to stop compounding pharmacies from making weight loss drug copies. This is in relation to Novo's Wegovy and Ozempic product. Now, this is in relation to the shortage of these products in the market. The GLP-1s that are currently in shortage is this list right here. Semaglutide is the one that's in question today, and for Hims & Hers in general. This is in shortage. The manufacturer has reported all but one of the presentations are now available. So that shortage may be ending relatively shortly. It was the one that caused a bunch of volatility a couple of weeks ago. That is when that shortage was resolved. So in theory, what that would mean is that tirzepatide compounders would not be able to sell that product in the near future. So that was the news that came out on October 2nd. On October 22nd, the FDA clarified that in response to questions regarding the agency's intended approach to the compounding of tirzepatide drug products during the reevaluation period. So they're going to basically reevaluate whether or not that should be in shortage or not. So a couple of things are going on in general here. One, we clearly see that the big pharma companies see the compounders, companies like Hims & Hers that are leaning into compounding drugs, are a big competition that they need to fight off, and they're using their regulatory muscle to do that. What the complaint basically said was that the compounding drugs were not exactly the same as what the name brand drugs were, and that there were side effects that make it less safe. Now, I'm not here to argue one way or the other on the safety or the validity of those claims, but that's what they're claiming with the FDA, and why they want the FDA to basically stop letting companies like Hims & Hers make a semaglutide product. So that's why the stock is down today, but shares are down about 11%. I think we do need to put this into context, and I try to do this, and I've done this before, but we need to look at how big the weight loss business is for Hims & Hers and how big semaglutide specifically is, because right now the stock is trading as if the company is going to lose 10-20% of their revenue, or their growth is just going to crater in the future if they don't have this specific GLP-1. That's not the case at all. First of all, we're not going to have this GLP-1 coming off the market anytime in the near future. The FDA has to actually go in and decide what they want to do. But second of all, this isn't actually all that big of a business for Hims & Hers. Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now. Now, the weight loss business, according to management, that began less than a year ago. And as of the end of the last quarter, the second quarter of 2024, the weight loss business was about a $100 million run rate, meaning $25 million per quarter. Okay, so let's look at those quarterly numbers. This is Hims & Hers quarterly revenue. So put $25 million into context. If you just take $25 million off of second quarter revenue, the company's revenue still would have grown to $290 million. So weight loss, GLP-1s in general, not all that big of a business for Hims & Hers. The other thing to keep in mind is that this is not a specific product company. This is not a company that just sells GLP-1s, that just sells semaglutide. Hims & Hers sells all kinds of products. The way to think about Hims & Hers is more like a platform company. They have people coming to them with healthcare needs. So currently they're serving weight loss, hair loss, and ED. Those are their main businesses, but there's many different things that they could get into in the future. So you go to Hims & Hers, you meet with a doctor digitally, and then they're able to supply those products, whether they're connecting you with branded products or generics or something that they're compounding themselves. They're trying to move more of that supply chain in-house, but most of that supply chain right now is not actually in-house. They're not making the products that they're actually selling you. So this is more of a middleman, a two-sided market, a platform, depending on how you want to define these things. So if GLP-1s can't be compounded, that doesn't mean that Hims & Hers can't sell GLP-1s. It also doesn't mean that it affects anything about the rest of their business. It doesn't affect anything about the ED business or the hair loss business. It also doesn't affect any of the businesses that Hims & Hers could get into in the future. So this is one of those days where I think it's always important to think about the context and the thesis that you have on a stock. I look at Hims & Hers as a potential company to disrupt the traditional doctor-pharmacy relationship that people have. I think we're going to move to more telemedicine. This is a company that isn't selling itself as a telemedicine company, but really that's what it is. It's a company that's connecting you with healthcare options digitally without having to go through all of the normal channels and all the overhead and all the margins that all of these other companies typically have. And most of everything that Hims & Hers does not involve insurance. So there's another layer that they're taking out of this. So this is a disruptive concept. And what I'm actually taking from the news today is that these big pharma companies are really worried about what Hims & Hers is doing. As an investor, that tells me that what they're doing is effective and it's the kind of disruption that I want to see in the market. It's the kind of disruptive company that I want to be behind as an investor, because I think, especially in the medical industry today, you want to have companies who are offering different solutions, lower cost solutions, get more direct to their customers rather than leaning into this bureaucracy that's been built in the industry that is insanely costly, that involves a whole bunch of inefficient pieces. If you've been to a CVS or a Walgreens recently, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those are the companies that are competition for Hims & Hers. Big Pharma is another piece of competition for Hims & Hers. If they can provide better solutions, lower cost solutions, they should absolutely do that. So we'll see exactly how this plays out. I don't know how this semaglutide ruling is going to go from the FDA, but we know currently that semaglutide is still under shortage. Based on the rules that we have today, Hims & Hers is still going to be able to compound this for the foreseeable future until we hear something different. I'm going to assume this is going to still be a growth driver, but keep in context, this is still a relatively small portion of Hims & Hers business. So when the stock pulls back on news like this, that's when I'm starting to see it as a buying opportunity. This is a stock that I've been adding in 2024, and I'll definitely look to do that if it pulls back even more based on this GLP-1 news. But hopefully that's helpful, giving some context on what's going on today. Don't think this is actually that big of news, and I'm expecting pretty big results for the third quarter. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you here next time.